What up, what up, what up? What's going on? How's everybody doing? What's going on in the hood? How is the Odeo? Sweet. Good, 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 good. Man, a lot of stocks to trade today, so let's get this party going. All right? Who do we got in here today? Okay, okay, okay. We got a little chatation, a little pate. Okay, well, there's a lot of stocks we got to go, so let's get out our list and let's make something happen. Dun, 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 dun. Let me get my guys in the chat room their webinar link. Henrik, what are you watching today, buddy? Good comeback yesterday. Man, you're so slow and steady right now. Don't fuck it up. Proud of you, though. It's some good trading you've been doing. All right, cool. Let's get to work. So the NASDAQ has pulled back to support, and yesterday we had a little bit of a bounce, but nothing too crazy. Even with the big Apple earnings, you know, we didn't actually get really like any kind of we didn't get any action on the stuff. And so, you know, what we got to kind of be mindful of is that there might be a shifted character in the stock market that is pervasive right now, because you're getting big tech kind of get flooded down. And so if big tech is falling, then, you know, where does the money hide? And even with Apple up, you know, 5% and adding, you know, $100 billion to its market cap or whatever, the market sat around it. Today we're gapping down, and there's a lot of stocks that are on the red side here. So, you know, we've got to be kind of chilling and kind of being mindful of that. But let's take a look at some charts and get this thing going. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Screen share. All right. Cool. Good, 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 good. So let's go. So NASDAQ, you can see we're kind of gapping down right down into support here. Nothing too crazy. You know, it's just in a little bit of a range. When you're stuck in between two moving averages, it can be really dicey sometimes. Like the market will feel choppy. And, you know, we just have to be kind of mindful of that you're going to get a little bit of this kind of range happening. And so, like, we're coming down, but it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to break lower or anything like that. Essentially, it just means that, right, you're just stuck in a range. And overall, the market's still in an uptrend, but there is a change of character happening in the market because a lot of tech companies, you know, like Facebook and Twitter have been taken down, you know. So actually today with the Tesla earnings coming out, that looks like it would pop the market. That's actually probably been really helpful because otherwise, people were getting a little bit down on the tech. Let's take a look at the SPY real quick. You know, the SPY's at the same thing. It's just sitting on some moving averages, but overall, it's really healthy, right? You're still like pretty much near highs. You know, after a nice little trender we've been consolidating for a few days. That's good. You know, nothing wrong with that. Let's take a look at some of these gappers because there's quite a bit of them, and we need to bowl through these. So this DXCM is busting out the highs over here. Now, this one is a healthcare biotech-y type of company. It should give a pretty good range. Normally, it doesn't trade much range, but what you could see here in the last earnings was, you know, it did pop from 77 to 85.5. So it does when it has earnings, and the earnings break out the highs, right? Like, so this earnings broke out the highs. So when it does have earnings, it breaks the highs. It does have a decent enough range on it. So we'll keep an eye on this. I think this one's got probably some potential. The Tesla is busting loose. I probably won't trade this one personally. And the reason is just I trade Tesla like shit. Like I just do. I always have. You know, between the spread and the way it moves, it's just a little bit dicey. My preference, too, with so many good gappers is to find ones that kind of are busting out of highs and stuff like that. And so it'll be something to watch because it'll kind of be moving the tech market around with it. But, you know, not my ideal. So, like, that to me is not going to be an A. It's going to be a little bit more of a B. This FTNT is another one that's busting out the highs. It's got 138 million share float, so it's going to move probably a little bit slower than some of the other ones. But overall, like anytime you get an earnings play that busts out the highs, that's going to be good. Johnny Pasca, is that you? How come you haven't been in the mentorship stuff in the morning? So that's going to be pretty important right there. So just kind of something to be mindful of. It's going to move a little bit slower. Something like this, like when you have a higher float, what I'll typically do is I'll wait after it gaps up. I'll wait for a pullback to start, like let it pull back to the 9 and start to round. And then I'll hit it intraday because these type of things, once the float gets a little bit higher, they don't work as well for ORBs. Here, so this one's kind of busting out of a breakout too. Now this one only has a 7 million share float. It should be able to move pretty quick if we get the setup. So remember what an ORB setup is, right? You need a pop up and then 3 sideways candles minimum before you can take the trade if you're going to hit it at the open. Now on the downside, there's quite a few shorts today. This IO is busting lower on some news. And it looks like blah, 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 blah. It doesn't really even matter. But it looks like this thing's getting shredded down over here. If it stays under 20, I think you're going to have some downside on this bad boy. Hey, Deanna, how you doing? So that's going to be really, really important, you know. We'll see if this one can hold under this level, but you're also breaking under the 200-day moving average. And so overall, that one's going to have a really, really nice look. Now, there's a lot of gappers out today. So what you're going to have to do is really start to rate them. What I mean by start rating them is you're going to have to start to rank them according to your preference on what size of stock you like to trade, what type of float, and like really what type of movement. Some people like wilder stocks. Some people like less wild stocks, so on and so forth. This XS is one of my favorites probably for possibly today, mostly because I've traded this quite a few times in the past. We'll see. This one's breaking under the 200-day moving average. Even it's got a history of making like kind of strong moves to the upside and downside. So I'll be having this one on the list also. RGB is an interesting one because, you know, you were already in a flat bottom breakdown, 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, 4 tests over here, right? And when you got 4 tests of resistance at downside, you break lower, it can be really powerful. This thing could have a good range on it. The one thing that you'll have to be careful of at the open, like say this thing gaps down and it opens and it starts to go sideways and you're looking for an ORB, because its float so small, there could be a spread on it. You know, when you're trading to the long side, people care about low floats a lot, but on the short side, the float does not matter as much. If anything, on the short side, when you get really low float, it ends up getting a spread and it becomes really tricky to trade. Sherman, I got you. This trip is gapping down. You do have room down to about 43. So you got about $7. You can see right here, it's already starting to kind of base out and do all that stuff. This is a new window. So I do think Trip is going to be one of our favorite on the short side. RL. Yeah, you could probably, you know, RL's already had 2 big down days, though. For me, like that one's going to be less of a priority because I don't like trying to short something on a day 3 personally. Makes it really, really tricky. This FND is another one that's breaking its trend line lower here. You know, you've got a ton of airspace on the bottom. And then, you know, you've got this MZOR, which in the past has moved okay. This one's a B for me because it's not like a, you know, unless it breaks down over here, you know, you're going to kind of come down into some support. So that to me is like kind of a B or a B minus. You know, I don't like it as much as I like some of the other ones. DXCM, I think, is going to have a chance. And there were a lot of good ones yesterday, you know. So one of the things I kind of remember, anybody play soda or anything like that, there were quite a few gappers yesterday. So just kind of keep your eyes open. What I like to do is watch 6 or 7, usually never more than that. So you want to narrow them down and then just wait for your setups. You know, that's really all you can do is just sit and you wait till you see something hot. one thing to keep an eye on today, this IQ has been testing this 30 level quite a bit. You can already see pre-market it's starting to get below 30. I think this one's probably got a chance to bust lower, but watch that 30 level. If it kind of snakes through real quick at the open, you may get a real quick kind of flush at the open. Now, this one has a habit of like breaking under and then breaking back over. So what you got to do is always look for a shake and bake also. So when you're looking at a shorting or doing something, there's always two angles. There's the quick play, which is the first breakdown. And then there's the potential for a shake and bake, which in an algo-driven market happens a lot, where you shake down and then you bake back up, and then it actually starts a run. I've seen that quite a bit lately. So those are kind of two different angles you got to always be watching for. Mr. Justin, folks, I got to get running. Daddy's got to go and trade.